I wonder if I could make the speedometer thing go off.
Oh yeah, but there's a bunch of cops here during the school. Apparently this is going to be the fastest e-bike that we've ever tested.
Put it all the way up to pedal assist 5. Here we go. Let's go ahead and spin this.
Oh. 60 miles an hour.
61 is what I saw.
This bike is unlike any e-bike we've tested before. If you love speed and you love e-bikes, I think we have something here that you're really gonna like. We've been promised that this thing is amazing. Andrew, what do we have?
We have the Wired Warrior, speeds at 45 plus miles per hour, a 72 volt system, and it's the fastest e-bike we've ever tested on the channel.
And so this bike, I like to call the superhero of e-bikes because it's unassuming. It looks like a normal e-bike, like a Clark Kent or a Peter Parker, but when you get this thing going, it'll top out at speeds that are mind-blowing for an e-bike, and it becomes that Superman or that Spider-Man.
It came as a freight shipment from UPS, so it shipped on a pallet. Instead of my wife telling the delivery person to put it in the garage, since she thought it was a TV, she said, bring it inside.
More and more bike companies are doing that. They'll put a picture of a TV, an image of a TV on the box, just that people will take care of it. And then setting it up, how was that with this heavy e-bike?
Instructions were very clear and easy to follow, and I had it put together in just under 15 minutes.
And we have a video for that right here. So go ahead and click on that if you want to see the whole unboxing assembly of this bike. Andrew, let's go through a walkthrough.
Yeah, and we keep calling it an e-bike, but supposedly this is a power performance bike to get around all the legality when it comes down to high-speed e-bikes. So starting out with the cockpit, let's go ahead and power this thing on. Easy to navigate display. This does come as a Class 2 e-bike with only 750 watts of power, but you can unlock it very easily just through the display.
And it even says that right here. Class 2.
Yep, and then going down, you have the different types of drive modes, so you can set those. One cool thing is you can unlock the throttle to go all the way up to the max speed. So most e-bikes actually cap your top speed at 20 or 28 miles per hour. Technically, Class 3 doesn't allow throttling, but this will allow you to go all the way to 45 plus miles per hour with just the throttle. Throttle follow, which allows you to set your throttle based off of the pedal assist levels, throttle percentage, and then start strength, which I'm gonna actually change this to 0, which this is the fastest setting, which just allows you to grip it and rip it and go as fast as you can. It's so fast. In addition, you can also protect your bike by password setting it with the display. You have Gemma hydraulic brake levers that are paired with 4-piston hydraulic brakes, nice ringing bell, faux leather grips with the half twist throttle on the right side, Shimano 7-speed thumb shifter, BMX style handlebars, which is something that we typically don't see on these 26 by 4-inch fat tire e-bikes. Normally we're used to seeing regular handlebars, but this gives you a nice upright feeling. A neoprene sleeve for cable management, 4 bolts if you want to attach a front basket, RST guide hydraulic front suspension with 75 millimeters of travel. You can adjust the preload and also lock it out. A front-facing light with 9 LEDs inside of it, surprisingly bright. Metal fender, a 26 by 4-inch puncture-resistant tire. As you can see, it says Cool Ride, but these are actually the exact same tires as Allscape. Allscape has just private labeled that name and sold it underneath their brand. A 203 millimeter brake disc with 4-piston hydraulic brakes, quick release through axle bolt. Inside the frame is one of the 2 batteries. It's a 72 volt, 20 amp hour 50S battery cells, which allows you high discharge rates, more power, and dissipates heat more efficiently. Let's go ahead and pull this one out and show you what it looks like. It is 2 separate keys, so you can have one key for the battery in the frame and one key for the battery in the rear. You want to turn the front handlebars so you can drop it out. It's a big battery though. It's a little bit of a snug fit. There is a little power monitor on top, and this does come sealed. I actually scratched this off by trying to shove the battery in without unlocking the battery box. So just keep that in mind that when you do go to install the battery, unlock the battery box first. There's a 56 tooth chain ring with torque sensor that also works as a cadence sensor. Right above that is a D&M air suspension, which is an AO8RC air suspension with 50 millimeters of travel and adjustable rebound. And this bike is also provided with 2 seat posts. If you're gonna be about 5'8" or below, I would say this should fit you. Anything above that, you probably wanna switch to the taller seat posts. It's the first time we've ever received 2, neoprene sleeve as a chain guard, derailleur guard, and 7-speed Shimano tourney derailleur. Behind that is 11 by 34 tooth freewheel with a 2000 watt motor and a peak output of 5000 watts. Combine that 5000 watt motor with a 65 amp controller and you're reaching top speeds of 45 plus miles per hour. That is a massive quick release, by far the biggest that we've ever seen on an e-bike. 203 millimeter brake disc with 4-piston hydraulic brakes. And then surrounding that is another 26 by 4 inch puncture resistant tire. Above the tire and mounted inside of the rear rack is a second battery, which is a 72 volt 15 amp hour battery. So in total, this is a 72 volt, 35 amp hour battery. So it's 2,520 watt hours. And one neat feature is they do provide you with 2 separate chargers, so you can charge each battery at the same time. You remove the battery by simply unlocking it and then it slides right out. And this whole bike is also UL certified. The rear rack has 120 pound capacity or 55 kilograms. Rear tail light that works as a brake light and another metal fender.
We're gonna get our safety gear on, take this for a spin, and we're gonna tell you what we love about it, what we hate about it, and who we think should get this bike. Okay, it's a jerky ride. Andrew, tell us why.
Yeah, I've got it set to the highest power, fastest starting power, fastest throttle, and it's just so powerful that it just wants to snap your neck back as soon as you pull on it.
And so we're gonna go ahead and do a speed run right now. We already have the GPS tracker, the Dragy, on top of Andrew's helmet, so we can get the most accurate speed data for you.
Oh.
That is fast.
49! 52 on the display.
All right, he's looking kind of excited here.
Man, that was crazy. Let's just give you a little bit of the data so you guys can digest that. Pretty wild. I did not expect it to go that fast. And that's smooth as well. The tires are great. Insane acceleration for an e-bike, but that's why it's called a power performance bike, not an e-bike, guys, okay?
All right, now we've had it tuned up to its most powerful settings. And have you seen popping wheelies, you're snapping your neck back. And so if you don't like that type of power and acceleration, there is a way that you can tune it down and change it from that cadence sensor to a torque sensor where it should be a much more natural feel.
Yeah, and so let me just show you what it looks like. Really, the cadence and torque sensor will change how the pedaling is, not quite what the throttle does. Let me just show you what it's like with 0 start assist, which is the most powerful, 100% throttle, and then show you what the front tire does. Then we'll go to the opposite end of the spectrum where it's the least power and dial it back and show you those. So right here, you'll see as soon as I pretty much touch on the throttle, the front end just wants to lift up. And that's with me leaning forward. There's just so much power being generated. So then let's just go in and change the settings though. Stock, it came set at 50%. Let's just turn it down to 25% and show you that it can be a lot more smooth takeoff if you're looking for that type of start. I'll just mash down on the throttle completely. Yeah, nice and smooth.
And you can also tell the power difference just by the sound of the motor, right? Before, when Andrew had it tuned up all the way and he was going full throttle, it sounded almost like a Suron, honestly. He was just like, woo! And now that he's got it tuned down to more like a regular e-bike, it sounds like a normal e-bike. It's nice, it's quiet, and it looks like he's just smoothly gliding.
Great for people who want different options of riding, and perfect for people who want a shot of adrenaline. One thing to keep in mind with the Warrior is that you can switch from a cadence to a torque setting, but when you do so, you want to increase the PWM levels, which essentially is the power being delivered to every single pedal assist level. The bike is really heavy, and on the stock settings, if you don't turn up the PWM when switching to torque, you're not going to get that much assistance when pedaling.
Let's go to our next stop where we're going to talk about the things that we love about this bike. So question I have is, Andrew, now that you have it dialed back, are you still able to hit the top speed just at a more gradual rate?
So originally I was just trying what throttle would do at 25%, and I was only hitting a top speed of 37 miles per hour. As soon as I actually started pedaling, it just took off and I hit like 48 miles per hour. And the one surprising thing is that even pedaling at 48 miles per hour, you can still feel resistance. So the freewheel is actually really good. I wonder if I could make that thing go off.
What's that?
I wonder if I could make the speedometer thing go off.
Oh yeah, but there's a bunch of cops here during the school.
Yeah, so we'll go right here. They're coming for us.
Like
They're
I said.
They're coming for us.
He's coming.
Good thing they're looking for the Suron. Yeah, see that? If we were on an electric dirt bike, they're gonna try to charge us to come into the state park. But because we're on an e-bike, we're free. We're free.
Yep, there are so many benefits to having something that has the speed and the power of an electric motorcycle or electric dirt bike, but looks like an e-bike. We're gonna pull up right here and talk about what we love about this bike.
Top speed is incredible for speed demons, and it's ultra stable. So most of the time, those two things don't correlate with each other.
Before we continue, let's take off this draggy. A lot of you guys ask, how do we do our speed runs? It's draggy. We'll have a link down below, but this is how we get the most accurate speed data. It connects to satellites up above. Great for testing acceleration, top speed. We love these little guys. I love the aesthetics of this bike. It looks like a regular e-bike, but a premium regular e-bike. Bigger and more aggressive. Up here, you can see the welds are really nice and clean. We do get some of the more chunky welds here down below, but those are a little bit lower, so not as visible to the naked eye. And then the painting, I love the kind of grayish with a little bit of a matte finish and a little bit of a sparkle, and the Wired branding. I love it with the letter E that gives it a nice futuristic look.
In addition, it's offered in 5 different colors, so you can choose your favorite one. One of my favorite things about the Wired brand e-bikes is the owner and founder is actually on top of things. I called them and asked a few questions that most CEOs just kind of give me an answer to sell me on something. Their founder gave me the answers of why he changed certain things on the bike. So at first I was like, why would you choose a Shimano Tourney derailleur? It's one of the cheapest derailleurs on an e-bike. And he said the main reason is because if he goes to any of the other speed shifters, they have to switch this from a twist throttle to a thumb throttle. And I agree with that. Going 50 miles per hour and using a thumb throttle, it's not as safe as having both of your hands wrapped around the handlebar grips. Another question that I asked him was about the 50S battery cells. And he said the reason why they went that way is because the previous battery cells would overheat the battery packs and the bike would feel warm. So they switched to 50S battery cells, which are safer, have a higher discharge rate so you can tap into more power, and they're better at heat dissipation so the bike doesn't get as hot. Another thing I asked was about the front facing lights. A lot of people on these 50 mile per hour e-bikes, they have those motorcycle grade lights that look like a motorcycle. He said he chose this light that was smaller, just as bright or even brighter than those motorcycle grade headlights. And the reason why he chose this is because he didn't want this to look like a motorcycle on the trails. He wanted this to look like a regular e-bike on the trails so you don't run into problems with people getting upset. I just love that this bike has been built from the ground up, and a lot of the features that it offers are there for a reason.
I love it when CEOs and founders actually ride and use their products and they're knowledgeable about their products.
It's got massive batteries. So it's got 2,520 watt hours, unheard of in the e-bike space. Normally you're looking at like a 15 amp hour battery. Very seldomly are we looking at a 72 volt, 35 amp hour battery, unless you're looking at an e-moto or an electric dirt bike.
I love that through the display, you're able to adjust everything you need to do without having to remember any P settings or any special codes. It's all written there. It's straightforward. It's not like you're trying to interpret a different language. Really great that it's so easy to use. While there's no app, I don't really miss it because personally, when there is an app on a bike, I use it initially to set up the bike and I really never touch the app again. In this case, you don't have an app, you don't need an app, and you can do everything through that really easy to use display.
I love that the chainring actually gives you tension when pedaling at 50 miles per hour. A lot of the e-bikes, as soon as you pass 28 miles per hour, once you start putting some pressure on the pedaling, it's almost like ghost pedaling. On the Wired Warrior, when I was pedaling at 45 miles per hour, I could still feel that I was putting pressure into pedaling, which is really cool feeling, especially on an e-bike.
And with all the great things about this bike, the most important thing is the ride feel. And just watching Andrew go, whether it's souped up, highest levels on everything, taken off fast, or when you've tuned it down so it rides more like a natural e-bike or more like a natural bike, it's been a really smooth ride. It just looks and it sounds like it's a premium bike ride. How did it feel from your perspective, Andrew?
This is really stable. A lot of these e-bikes, as soon as you get going like 33 miles per hour, there's that ghost pedaling feeling. The bike doesn't weigh enough for the speed, and it just feels like it's kind of got a little bit of shimmies and shakes. Due to the longer wheelbase on this bike, the geometry of the bike, it rides ultra smooth and stable at higher speeds. One of the best parts about this is this LCD display in the past has always come as a polarized display. They custom made this, removed the polarity, so you can still wear sunglasses and easily read the display in direct sunlight. I love the suspension choices on this bike. I was a little bit worried that the rear suspension wasn't going to be able to hold up a higher weight capacity, but it feels nice and cushy. And in the front, they've chosen hydraulic suspension, where most of the fat tire e-bikes use a coil suspension. A hydraulic front suspension is a lot more comfortable than a coil front suspension.
And the folks over at Wired must be watching our videos, because there are features on this e-bike that we, especially Andrew, tend to always complain about that they have changed or that they've made so that we really enjoy. And the example is it's a good light, right? A lot of the e-bikes don't come with a good light, and it comes with metal fenders, which is Andrew's favorite.
The 2,000 watt motor that peaks at 5,000 watts is insane. It's actually exclusive to Wired. Other e-bike companies are saying they're offering a 5,000 watt motor like the Bafang motor, but that only allows you to draw 4,000 watts of power. So this is just really crazy how powerful this motor can be. It's a double wall insulated rim, and one neat safety feature that we don't see on a lot of e-bikes is they increase the spoke diameter. So this is a 10 gauge diameter, nice and thick. One thing that we find on most e-bikes is if they have a ton of power, they still keep with the standard spoke size. This will help prevent any spokes from getting bent with all the power that's being generated in the rear. These tires are incredible for a fat tire e-bike. Normally we're used to seeing like a Xiaoyang or a CST BFT tire on these fat tire e-bikes. The polymer is hard. The treading is just like your standard treading, where this bike has your off-road hybrid tread, where it's nice and soft polymer, more of a rounded profile, and doesn't feel like it gets tracked out at all.
And on top of that, it has the puncture resistance like we talked about earlier. What I love about this bike is the batteries are UL certified, which will help give you peace of mind that you're much less likely to have a battery fire.
Wired has upgraded the rear rack to hold up to 121 pounds, so you can carry an additional passenger or a load if you're going to be doing a long ride. And then I do love that they've used a nice big beefy through axle bolt that has a quick release. So easy for transportation, but for me, it just instills confidence, especially when you're going to be pushing the limits of the top speeds of this bike. In addition to the high quality battery cells, it comes with 2 chargers, so you can charge them both at the same time.
So we are going to keep riding. At our next stop, we're going to talk about what we don't like about the Wired bike. All right, we're going to do our standard brake test, 20 miles an hour. That's pretty good.
Yeah, really good brakes. 18 feet to stop from 20 miles to 0. So fairly strong. The 4-piston brakes work excellent.
Right now we're on these paths here, and these are paths for pedestrians, for bicyclists, and we have our bike here. It's unassuming. It looks like an e-bike. It's not going to offend anyone. Well, it's not going to offend most people. And because it looks just like a regular e-bike, we can enjoy, we can have a good time. But then if we were to go out on the road and we want to keep up with traffic, we can definitely pull out more power and take advantage of that 50-mile-an-hour top speed.
So I'm going to test out the hill climbing ability of the Wired Warrior. This hill right here is super steep. Cameras don't do it justice. I have yet to have an e-bike climb up this with only the throttle. So I'm not gonna put any pedaling into it. I'm not gonna have a big run up. I'm just gonna go ahead and just throttle right up it and see how it goes. Throttle only, whoa, the front tire lifts up on it. Oh my gosh, crazy. Man, that was insane how easily it climbed up it. I could have actually gassed it even a little bit more. I was only at like 65% throttle and it climbed right up this hill. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to a first-person view just so you can witness it for yourself. You gotta be careful because as soon as you pull on the throttle, it wants to go up, and especially if you're going uphill, it's easy for it to just start popping a wheelie. But throttle only, I'm only at like 25% throttle, crazy. I'm too afraid to pull it to 100%. I would have just lifted up. That thing climbed up it, no problems at all.
While a pretty amazing bike, we've never seen anything like this before, it does have room for improvement. Let's talk about the things that we don't like about this bike.
It's a loud bike. Even with the settings turned down, it's going to be a lot louder than most of the e-bikes out there. It's also heavy, so if you're looking for a more of a natural cycling experience, this bike is not going to be for you. This is going to be more for people who like high adrenaline, high speeds, like to pedal every once in a while because there is still some good resistance in the pedaling. But if you ever ran out of battery power and you had to pedal this bike with no pedal assist on, it'd be very painful. I'm not a huge fan of the Shimano tourney derailleur just because it's the cheapest quality derailleur that Shimano offers, but I completely understand that Wired chose that so they can still stick with the half twist throttle.
And because this is basically an electric dirt bike capable speeds, in an e-bike's clothing. I wish it had one feature that we tend to find in electric dirt bikes, which is a safety feature, and that is a kill switch when the kickstand is engaged to make sure that you don't inadvertently take off on this bike.
The multi-tool that comes with the bike is one of my least favorite ones out there. You tend to strip bolts out, but the cool thing is that I did talk with the founder and he said that he'll be upgrading the tool to a harder steel tool so you don't have as many strip bolts. Another thing that was missing was just a wrench to tighten up the pedals on the bike. Most people should have that. A channel lock, a crescent wrench will work, but they will be providing that in the future as well. So that's one thing that this bike did not come with, but they will be making that change in the future. And then they're also not providing a suspension pump, so I would like for them to at least provide that in the future. I'm not a huge fan of this cable management where they use this neoprene sleeve. This does make it easier access to the quick releases, but to me it just doesn't look as clean as having this type of wrap up and down the cables. The Wired Warrior comes with an IPX5 water resistance rating. I do wish that it was rated for an IPX6 so it could handle direct streams of water or torrential downpours, but just know that this can handle light rain, but anything more than that, you don't want to ride this bike out in a storm.
And lastly for me, this bike is capable of reaching almost highway level speeds, and if you plan on riding with traffic at speeds just like the cars are going, you probably want a motorcycle grade horn. Right now all you have is a bell, just like you would in a regular e-bike.
I would have loved for them to make the keys for the batteries the same instead of having to carry 2 keys to unlock them.
Otherwise, fantastic bike. It's really lived up to all the hype. This is something we've never seen before, and it's going to be interesting trying to figure out who should buy this bike, and we'll talk about that next. We just found one other thing we don't like about this. We've been going hard, we've been going fast, and so we didn't realize this until right now when we're trying to go slow. Andrew, what do you discover?
Yeah, it's a square wave controller, so it's not quite as smooth as a sine wave controller, but when I just try to hold down the throttle and go 5 miles per hour, it's really hard to keep that lower speed. 7 miles per hour is fine, but anything below 7, it does become a little bit inconsistent and jerky trying to maintain slower speeds.
All right, Andrew, who do you think should get the Wired Warrior?
If you're an adrenaline junkie who loves to go 50 miles per hour, but wants something that is going to be unsuspecting to Karens and police officers, the Wired Warrior is an awesome bike. Ultra stable at high speeds, lots of cool features, easy to navigate display, and by far the most stable, high-powered e-bike we've ever tested on the channel.
A do-it-all e-bike for enjoying the parks, going on trails, and even on sidewalks. This can do it. If you want a bike that can keep up with your buddies on their Surons, this can also do it. You can read our full written review at freshlycharged.com. Thanks for watching, and when you guys ride, wear your safety gear.